Okay, we're underway for this Wednesday, the 15th of May. Thanks for watching us here on the Morning Brew from downtown Albuquerque, high above Lindy's Cafe. Hey, I'm Larry Aarons with Aaron Muffaletto, our guest co-host here, and our guest, that's what I was really trying to say. Aaron's our co-host. This guy's our guest. Mark Walch is with us with Performance Edge Coaching. You know, what we try and find here on the Morning Brew are some of the really interesting, fascinating people that live in our community and work here. And Mark is an example of that. And I want to welcome you to the table here at the Morning Brew. Good to have you.
Thank you. Grateful to be here.
Thank you.
So I'm going to jump right into it.
Okay.
So what is mental game coaching?
Mental game coaching is really the idea that athletes and people who are performing really, a limitation to me being able to perform very well is my mental game. So I would say I would introduce myself as a head coach because I work with the head and the mental aspects of performance. Mm-hmm. So while other people can coach on skills, you may have a volleyball coach or a baseball coach teaching the physical skills of the sport, I teach the mental skills of performance. And primarily with athletes is what we can talk about today.
Okay.
Very interesting. Now, your background, you have an athletic background, and one of the things in your bio that I notice is that you're quite a mountain climber. Well, you have been anyway.
I have been. I continue. Yes, that's and it's a great place for me to actually practice the mental game.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
You and the mountain.
Exactly.
Right.
Me and the mountain and the length to get to the top of the mountain. If a principle is staying focused on what I have control over. And when you're climbing a mountain, Kilimanjaro or Aconcagua, one of the big mountains, you can't be thinking about the outcome because you're really suffering in the moment. And so you need to stay focused and enjoy the moment.
And plus, there's something like that. I'm sure a lot of people are, during the process, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to give up.
Exactly.
So you kind of help people with that staying persistent and going the full force.
That's right, and helping them be able to reach their goals. Mm-hmm. And that's really my role. I work with people that have very high goals and high expectations of themselves, and oftentimes that'll get in their way of actually achieving the very things they would like to do.
Now, the kind of athletes you work with, are they in individual sports or team sports or both?
Well, it's interesting, Larry, because the field developed primarily and still is done in the largest area with golfers and tennis players. Huh. Every PGA golfer has a mental game coach. Tennis players at the highest level all have a mental game coach. And as you know, from individual sports, it's just me and my head or my thoughts are out there. And how I can manage that and use that as an advantage tends to make the difference. So I have worked with team athletes, I've worked with teams, and individuals as well.
So then what would be the difference between you and a psychologist?
Well, the difference, and thanks for asking that, because oftentimes I'm thought of as a sports psychologist. Mm-hmm. And when people think of sports psychology, they usually think of visualization. Everyone who's been in athletics has said, well, just visualize, well, and you all as well, goals, things like that. Visualize your goals. Well, visualization is a very advanced skill within mental game coaching. And if you don't have the foundation for that visualization, then you actually are creating a void that makes it more difficult to perform. Because here I am visualizing, oh, I'm going to be tremendous on the morning show. And then one thing happens and my whole belief goes down the drain. Right. Now I'm in trouble. Yeah. And so visualization needs to come after a lot of other skills have been developed in the athlete. So the other difference is psychology is the study of whatever, sports, psyche, whatever. Mm-hmm. And mental game coaching is very applied, specific to an athlete performing. And so I'm not interested in doing studies. I'm not interested in doing therapy with the athletes. I'm interested in helping them develop their mental abilities, their mental skills to perform at their best.
I always try to make this stuff relatable to what people do in their lives. Let's say you have a big meeting coming up where you're presenting, or you have a job interview where you really want to perform well.
Perform, sure.
How can you adopt the same mental skills that a professional, that Tiger Woods would have?
That's right.
And take that into that performance that you have to give?
Well, and it's Tiger Woods now versus the last couple of years, I would say.
Right.
You'd rather have that, or
yes, you would.
or the earlier Tiger Woods. Again, the idea is to think about the performance. What do I have control over in that meeting? Or presentation? Do I have control over the audience? Do I have control over the reaction, things like that? What do I have control over? And if I'm prepared, and again, practice is very important, and if I know I'm prepared, I feel confident. So some of the terms are familiar, and oftentimes familiar terms are not spelled out clearly, so I think I need to be confident for this meeting. Yeah. Well, I'm scared to death.
Right.
So what's going to come out? The fear or the confidence? And I'll work with someone on developing how do you really feel confident when you go into that performance. So again, it's like the visualization. You're not pretending or acting like I'm confident.
Yeah.
In fact, you feel confident. And so then you're ready to respond to whatever the situation might present. Because in performance in athletics, you never quite know what the heck's going to happen.
Right.
And so ideally, a peak performance is around being able to respond to whatever the situation is and having the confidence that I can do that.
Yeah, and that visualization is very important. I hear a lot of people always saying, well, if you want success, you have to visualize
Yes.
it. And if you want this, you have to visualize it. And it's all about just seeing yourself in that position.
It is. That's part of it. If there's a little voice in your head, though, that is saying you really can't get that, or you're really not good enough to do that, that sucker gets really loud when I'm trying to be successful or whatever. So it's very important, I think, to integrate that. So I feel confident. I can feel myself in that situation rather than just picture it.
Can you give us an example, a story of somebody you worked with when you started working with them and what happened as a result?
Sure, it's exciting. It's really why I love doing this work, is because the change happens very quickly. And for example, with athletes that are very motivated, Division I scholarship athletes, a young lady I was working with, again, a Division I, all her school is being paid for. She's now coming into her senior season. She's always been a hard worker, a little undersized, not as fast, but a hard worker, and that's always gotten her. And now she's being asked by the coach to step up and be kind of in the forefront. And she doesn't know how to do that. She's working so hard that when I met with her the first time, there's an assessment process that I go through. And so from that process, I have a pretty clear idea what's going on and what the dynamics are. And so I sat down with this young lady and just asked her, well, what is going on? And when she was struggling and so depressed, she wanted to quit her sport, she wanted to quit school, she wanted to go back home. And I said, well, why would you do that? You're in your senior year, you're on a very good team, you're being a star. Because it was so much pressure for this young lady that she actually broke down and started crying when I kind of explained my understanding of her mental orientation towards her sport. And it was such a relief for her.
Yeah, somebody gets it.
Somebody gets it.
Yeah.
Somebody gets it. And coaches, and I was a coach as well, and I didn't get it when I was a coach, and we tend to marginalize that situation. Oh, it's all in their head. Yeah, it's in their head, but what are we going to do about it? And so that was some motivation for me to get into this and really learn it at a way and develop a system that can help young ladies like that who are, I mean, she would work hard. She was in the weight room longer than anyone. She was running more, but she wasn't performing. And it was a mental block. And so when she finally, someone knows what's going on, and there maybe is a path for her that will lead her out of that, so she'll get a chance to finally achieve her potential, which is a big loaded word. And so the next day at practice, she felt so much lighter. She was playing. She enjoyed it. I saw her a week later, and she was smiling. You know, she loved soccer again, and didn't need to go home, and was looking forward to her senior year. And the coach, I work with the coaches and with parents. I try to keep everyone involved. And they were pleased. They're like, oh, we've never seen her play like this. You know, she's so much more natural versus forced effort. She was now playing soccer, and soccer is a very flowing game. So,
Mark, this is fascinating, and we've had your website up on the screen, and people can contact you with Performance Edge coaching, and we love to meet people like you in our community doing some fascinating work, and you're one of those guys. It's great to have you on the program.
Well, it's great to be on the program.
Maybe we'll get him to get our
Yeah,
game up a little bit. I don't know.